a simple salad from things that I've just got knocking around the house, which is pretty straightforward. So we've got some tins of beans, not like baked beans, but like tins of beans. We've got some, I can never pronounce that, roast cocoa beans. I've got some butter beans and some cannelli beans. I'm going to mix them because it's always nice to have different coloured beans. We've got some sun-dried tomatoes in olive oil. We're going to use the oil as well, but any oil that you don't use, we're going to save that. Although I'm not going to use that jar of sun-dried tomatoes, I'm going to use the jar of oven-dried tomatoes that I made a few weeks ago. So we're going to see how it works with those. The oil in there will be extra delicious because it's homemade. So I'm going to use some of the oil from that, and then I'm going to save whatever's left. I'm going to use it in something else. Pepper, good quality salt, because it's going into my body. So therefore it's important to use a good quality salt rather than table salt, which is, I've got it in the house, but I just find it's a bit, there's no extra nutrients in table salt. It's all been taken out, it's got caking agents and all kinds of stuff. So it's just not so good. And then lemon, obviously we're not going to waste the zest, so zest and juice. So it's quite an easy recipe to remember. 3 tins of beans, 1 jar of sun-dried tomatoes, 1 lemon, salt and pepper, that's all you need. You can put herbs, put some parsley in if you've got them in the garden. Otherwise, you can put in, if you want a bit of crunch, you can add some nice bread croutons as well. But basically, 3 tins of beans, 1 jar of sun-dried tomatoes, 1 lemon, bit of salt and pepper, lovely. I'm going to drain the beans, get rid of all the excess gunk that's in the bottom of the tins. I'm going to chop the sun-dried tomatoes, zest the lemon. I'm going to use that zesty thing on the zester. Nice long lengths of zest, and then I'm going to use half the lemon today. It'll be nice today, but it'll be even nicer tomorrow. So I'm going to make it today. I'm going to eat it tomorrow. Then for tomorrow, what we just need to do is you just need to correct seasoning. So does it need a little bit, tomorrow, once all the flavours have mingled together, does it need a bit more salt? Does it need a bit more pepper? Does it need a little bit more lemon juice? Which is a good thing to remember. As always, you can always add a little bit more. Very difficult to take it away. So I'll chop, I'll wash and do all that kind of stuff, and then we'll just combine, and then you can see what it looks like. Today's top tip on cutting down on the amount of washing up. So I need to strain the tomatoes out of the oil, and instead of getting like a colander and a container and then making myself excess washing up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a fork, and I've stabbed a load of tomatoes, and then I'm going to use the fork and I'm going to pour the oil from the jar into another jar, and then, because I'll be able to hold without use of fingers, I'll be able to hold the tomatoes back so if they don't slip into the oil. I'm wanting some of the oil on the tomato, so it doesn't need to drain that much. But there you go. That's an easy way of straining off oil from things like tomatoes without having to use a colander and then a container and then pour the oil back into another container and creating excessive amounts of washing up. So that's about that. So I will now chop them for this recipe. Actually, you can have a second top tip as well. So it's important in your kitchen to have some really good quality knives that you keep sharp, and it's important to have some knives that you don't particularly care about, because then you can do things like cutting things on plates. So there's still oil and juice in the tomatoes, and if I chop it on a wooden chopping board or a plastic chopping board, I'm going to lose oil and flavour. So by chopping them on a plate, I'm going to save making a mess of my board, and we're going to save on losing some flavour. It's an old knife. I don't particularly care about it, and it's specifically kept for these types of jobs. So have some good knives, but also have some rubbish ones that you can do rubbish jobs with and not bother about blunting them. There you go. Second top tip of the day. Right, so putting the salad together. Tomatoes have been chopped, as you can see, all nice chopped. Still a lot of oil from there, so that'll go in there. I've got the salt. I've just crushed it up with the rolling pin because I haven't got a proper salt grinder. So tomatoes in to the container with the beans. It's got a lid on it, as the container hasn't got a lid on it now. It's going to have a lid on a second, and it's an airtight lid, so I'll be able to mix it up, be able to shake it up to mix it. So that in there, with as much of the oil as possible. Like that, out of the way. Lemon juice, just see if there's any pips in the lemon juice. Doesn't like, but there is. We'll have that juice, we'll have that pulp in as well. We don't like waste. Something different to eat. And then move the board slightly to the edge so we can just scoop the salt in. Like that, and then we'll do the same with zest. If you haven't got lemon, you can use some white wine vinegar by all means. It's just I've got a lemon in, and the juice and zest tends to improve things. So I reckon 3 dessert spoons. Yeah, 3 dessert spoons. We can always add more tomorrow. If you're making it on the day, just season it to taste how you want it to taste today. I'm using it tomorrow, so I just need to think about how potentially it's going to taste tomorrow, so I don't want to add too much seasoning, because I always add a little bit more, never take away. Very difficult. So, quite a few grinds of pepper. That's probably too much, but it'll be fine. It'll all melt together. Lid on, and then we'll give it a bit of a shake to combine. Not too rough, otherwise you break up the beans. Go, and there we go. That's it. That will sit in the fridge until tomorrow. We'll season, and it'll taste delicious. We might come back and I might show you how it tastes. However, if you're going to add herbs to something on the day, you can add herbs. That's fine. For something that's going to be in the fridge until tomorrow, I wouldn't particularly advise adding the herbs in, because they're going to lose a little bit of the vibrancy. So if I am going to add some herbs, I'm going to add them tomorrow. But if you're going to eat it on the day, just put the herbs in and season as you would, so you want it to taste. But anyway, that's it. A nice, easy, quick salad from things that I've got around the house. Finishing off of the bean salad. What will happen overnight is all the oil and the juice will have sunken down to the bottom of the container. You can't really see that, I don't really want to tip it up. So what we need to do is just give it a quick mix over to reincorporate the dressing that sunk down to the bottom, all of the beans, and then we'll have a taste, and then we'll adjust the seasoning accordingly. But what will happen is all the flavours will have amalgamated overnight, and just kind of improve the flavour of everything. So everything will have taken on a little bit of flavour from each other. So a couple of beans and a bit of tomato. Oh, a little more pepper, a little more salt, a little bit of lemon, and a little bit of oil, and I think we'll be done. So that much-ish. Always remember, we can always add, we can't take away. And then I've got some oil, not much. Oops. There we go, and then we'll have a fresh spoon and taste, and it should be ready. Should have got another spoon out. I didn't, so we'll give it a bit of a mix up. Need to mix it well, because obviously some parts will have more salt on than others. The danger is that you might taste a bit that's not got any salt on it. So you need to mix it well to make sure that all the salt and pepper and the seasoning has gone all the way through. Because you can, if you taste a bit that hasn't got any salt on it, you'll think, oh, it needs a bit more salt, so you'll add more salt, and then in fact what you'll do is you'll end up over seasoning something. So you do need to be careful. Right, so come right down to the bottom. I'm not going to add any herbs to it. I can't bother chopping. It's been a long day and I can't bother chopping. So another taste. There we go, spot on. Mouthful, sorry. I'll put moist in that lemon. That'll be fine. So there we go. Nice, easy salad from things that I had around the house, and the kind of things that you should be having in the house anyway. Things, certainly in these times, that to have a stockpile of some beans and some like dry products that aren't going to go off, tin products that you can quickly throw things together last minute is a good idea at this moment in time. But there we go, that's it. A quick, easy bean salad from things that we had around the house.